I've got a riddle for you, Batman. Drive this car around a circle. Batman. Drive this car around a circle.
Team Joystick Heroes podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Team Joystick Heroes podcast. I am Chris.
I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Adam.
And welcome to podcast number 4. Wow, 4 whole episodes we've gone so far.
That's crazy. It seemed like yesterday.
I know.
It was
Making
yesterday.
the first one. No,
Don't ruin the illusion, Adam.
Illuminati.
So, Adam here is the resident artist on Team Joystick Heroes. And
yeah.
he was the only volunteer we really had
Yeah.
immediately.
I remember when you first volunteered, you were so excited, and then you looked around the room and you're like, wait a minute.
I'm the only
Just
artist.
me. So Adam, how's everything going with art and life?
Art is going pretty good. Life is going better.
Ooh, I like that.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good.
A lot of the artwork's already done. Our board game, our analog game, has most of the artwork done. And we have about half the cars done for the video game.
It's pretty good. We're on a pretty good track. I like where we're going this
Track,
this
get
week.
Racing
Racing game. All right.
Anyway.
So
Throws a blue shell.
so when we come to this point where we're working on the analog game and we came up with the art pretty much in 1 week. So when you came up with the art, what was your ideas behind, like, okay, I want to make this nitrous can look like this, or the road spikes look like this? What was it in your head that made you think of that?
Cell-shaded styling with real-life inspirations. NOS cans are very iconic. We can change and alter them slightly to our use.
Yeah.
Road spikes, you can't really... There's not much you can do with those. They look like spikes, and they're very specific design-wise.
They're very spiky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that we're at this point where we're working on a new card that we added to it and everything, and we're coming into this week where we're going to test the new game and see how it goes. Are you excited to see how, your art will affect the game in any way? If, you're able to tell, oh, this is definitely this kind of thing.
I'm really hoping to see that. Everything's pretty iconic as far as assets go.
Yeah.
You could definitely tell what is what, and I'm just hoping that everything works out well with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see where we're going this week. So, along with that, we're also working on the GDD still.
Always.
Forever.
2 more weeks till we have to turn it in?
I think
25th.
so.
Same day
So-
Batman v Superman comes out.
Yes.
Just so happens.
So, Team Joystick Heroes will come together at the same time as the Justice League, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's adorable.
We are Team Justice, or...
Who are you
Yeah.
in the Justice League? Who would you guys
I'd probably be Lantern.
be? Okay.
I want to be Green Arrow. Green Arrow's so cool, man.
Of course you would say that, because he's the coolest.
He is the coolest, man. He's that wisecracking, kind of like, hey, I got jokes for days.
What about the Flash?
I like the Flash. The Flash is a cool character. I just wouldn't want to be the Flash.
But he's always back in a Flash.
Get it?
Yeah. Who would you be?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Choo,
She's
choo,
beautiful.
choo.
And
What about Zatanna?
Also be, I would also want to be Green Arrow because
We know
of
you
Black
would
Canary.
like to be the Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I
too.
thought you would say, oh, I'd also like to be Wonder Woman. I'm like,
Well,
okay.
she's pretty powerful, so...
Yeah, she's a bad
Unless
lady.
you restrain her. My only weakness, being held.
So don't hug her. Never hug Wonder Woman.
Aw.
She doesn't like it, unless you're Superman.
Or using her
Ooh.
whip.
In the
Then
new
she really
52.
likes it.
Oh, I like that.
So...
Anyway.
So, we've talked about this before. I'm going to go a little off topic talking about the Batman v Superman movie. So, are we excited for this at this rate? The new trailer got me a little more excited than the second trailer that came out, where they showed way too much.
Yeah.
This new trailer...
Doomsday.
This new trailer has gotten me a little more excited to see where everything goes. I'm a little excited to see what this whole thing with Batman and the brown jacket is, and like the Superman soldiers.
Right.
A lot of like shots in the trailer made it look like that's on Apocalypse, which is a really interesting idea. But I feel like they'd be jamming way too much into this movie if they included Darkseid and Apocalypse.
They're talking online right now that the being we saw in the last trailer, not this new trailer, the old one, was not Darkseid, or was not Doomsday, was actually Darkseid. Which, giving Darkseid Doomsday's spikes and stuff, is just, you know...
Darkseid's this big, imposing guy. He's not like... He's a brute, but he's not. He's smart still. That's what a lot of people don't understand is, you know, Darkseid is this intimidating figure, but he's not like a feral beast.
He's Thanos of the DC world.
Well, came before Thanos.
We don't discuss this?
So... We'll probably talk about this, you know, more and more as we get closer to the release date of the movie. I mean, I'm a big Batman fan and a big Justice League fan in general, so I'm excited to see what this movie can do.
I'm just a little concerned because from what I've piecemealed together from all the trailers that they've released, it looks like a live-action adaptation for Batman Returns Part 2.
So... Now we usually do this section of the podcast where we talk about what we've been playing. What have we been playing this week?
Warframe. Definitely Warframe.
Well, Adam really plays a lot of Warframe.
All the time.
And Isaac. Binding of Isaac.
What about you, Rebecca?
I just recently beat Fire Emblem Awakening.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
It was beautiful.
Do all the pairings and stuff.
Yeah, I did that a little. I'm really upset that you can't do gay pairings. Like, I wanted all my characters to be gay. I wanted to have a giant gay army, and I couldn't have that. But it's whatever. But it was beautiful. The story was wonderful. The gameplay's awesome. I got a little tired of it after a while, though. It's pretty long. But I just, it was like the auto where you can just, like, fight, like, you know, where you don't actually have to
function.
Auto function,
Yeah.
yes. But it's good. But that's all. That's it, really. I want to play Pokemon Yellow. I haven't bought it yet, so I'm waiting to get money.
I still have all my original Pokemon games, and I still play them on my brick.
Your Game Boy.
Yeah, my original Game Boy.
Yeah, I got back into Hearthstone. I did a bad and I did a stupid, and I got back into Hearthstone.
How do you feel?
I
For
hate
shame.
everything because I have friends who are so amazing at this game, and I'm usually pretty decent at card games, and I'm just sucking a whole lot. So, you know, going into the arena and having a friend who trained me pretty much to, you know, you look for these cards when you're playing this class and everything like that, and then just completely be like, oh, I got a really good deck. No, you don't.
Wow.
So that, and I've been playing a little bit more XCOM, Enemy Unknown, just because XCOM 2 is out now and I really want to get into it and play it. So I'm excited for XCOM 2. I've heard a lot of good things about it. A friend of mine has been streaming it regularly. I've been trying to jump in on his streams. It's just a really fun tactical game. So if you're like that strategy-minded person, then that's your kind of game. It's hard, though. It's in Fire Emblem very much so. If one of your guys dies, they're dead.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that they stay alive.
Or, you know, just kill them all.
Don't do that.
No.
You get too attached. You get way too attached to my characters.
We could do a genocide run.
So, we have a few different topics to talk about this week. First thing first, you brought this up earlier. This ColecoVision Kickstarter that got pulled.
The Coleco Chameleon. It was a system which I'm still researching on. Apparently, it was able to play all retro games, and they decided to try to fund it through Kickstarter. But as some people pointed out on their test model that they brought to the last game show, the last big game show, the motherboard on that is nothing more than a DVR chip and a couple other pieces put into it to be able to emulate games as if it's just an emulator in a box. Instead of having the function that you just pop in like a PlayStation disc or a PS2 disc or an Xbox disc and no matter what it was, it would play like they had intended, or NES game, or etc. You know.
Yeah, Kickstarters are a really sometimes scary thing. I looked at it was a website that compiled literally every failed Kickstarter project that just did not go through, and it's a little scary. Like, so there were some legitimately good ideas, and things just fall through. We're in a day and age where if you have an idea, you jump to crowdfunding. So, you know, what's to say, oh, this one fails while this one succeeds. So just seeing like stuff like that, and then you have the people that come out and go, here, I have this crazy idea, but it's not as great as it sounds, like this Coleco Chameleon.
Well, the Coleco Chameleon, first off, I don't think should have been crowdfunded. It's a AAA company with many successful projects in the past, many failed projects in the past. It's had its roller coaster of success. But trying to use crowdfunding to make people pay to research and develop this hardware that they're going to in turn sell back to the people who funded it, it's kind of just, you know, rude.
Rude.
I would be meaner, but like...
Yeah,
I don't know how
rude's good.
Yeah, I want to take a little break on this to talk about crowdfunding a little more. So recently, a few weeks ago, actually two months or so ago, we found out Psychonauts 2 finally got funded at $300-something million, or no, not 300 million, but $3 million and a little bit more than that.
Didn't it only take a few days for that?
It took only a few days, and it's great. I think it's great because personally, Tim Schafer has been a huge inspiration for me to get into game design to begin with. He was always like that prominent figure. I enjoyed every game he made. I'm playing Grim Fandango on my PS4.
I keep
on
meaning
and
to
off.
get that.
Yeah, it was free on like the PSN for a while.
Yeah,
Plus,
that's what I grabbed
yeah.
it on, and I was excited because I love Tim Schafer's writing. He is honestly one of the greatest writers for game design that we've seen in the past, few years.
Fanboying?
Tim Schafer is awesome. I don't want to hear it. So, but a lot of people have been apprehensive just because there were two projects that Tim Schafer tried to get together with Double Fine to make two games, and both of them fell through entirely. He handed management over to someone that wasn't really used to it, and it just completely fell through. The funding it passed through funding, just the project never got completed. And a lot of people have been trying to, discredit at Double Fine and say, well, they're just going to steal your money on this one. I don't think that's the case, though, with especially something like Psychonauts 2, where a lot of people loved the original. Like, what are your thoughts on the idea that, do you think that Psychonauts 2 will happen? Do you think it won't? Like, what's your...
Psychonauts 2 is going to be like the love child of time and experience based off a very successful, very fun, awesome game, Psychonauts.
Yeah.
I do believe that it's going to be finished, and I'm really hoping that it's at least as good as the first one.
Yeah. I think that...
I don't know, man.
So one of the things with Double Fine has always been that they have never made a truly successful money-wise game. Most of the time, they usually about break even. Sometimes they make a little bit more, but they're never breakout hits. So they usually have a pretty cult following. Psychonauts is a huge cult classic game. Adventures of Monkey Island was a great game. One of my personal favorite games was Brutal Legend, and I know that game was not received the best. But I just enjoyed that game to death, and I even created a game for this program in Game 1, very much inspired by that game's writing. So that's been a huge...
How did you not like it? Ozzy was it.
It was a huge thing on me, so I was really, really excited. And also another project that recently just got funded, it's been in Kickstarter purgatory for a few years, is Bear Simulator.
Bear Simulator. I did see
Simulator.
that.
Yeah, Bear Simulator. You literally simulate playing as a bear. It's
But
first.
so I am the bear.
Yeah, you are the bear.
That's pretty cool.
I think they
You
have
get to-
14 different bears you can be.
14 different?
14
I didn't
different
know
bears.
there's 14 different kinds of bears.
You can it's right. You can do first person view, and you have like the paws in front of you.
You can find hats.
Yes.
There's hats?
Yeah,
Oh my
there.
god, this is amazing.
This is going to
Take
be the
my
best
money.
game ever made.
They already took my money, so.
What?
Like, I very rarely contribute to a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo or GoFundMe, anything like that. But definitely wanted to contribute to this one, so I actually did contribute a few bucks that I had to spare to Bear Simulator, just because it was such a. Well, I mean, I love bears, so like my third favorite animal. So.
Do you think it's going to be anything like Goat Simulator?
Oh, I think it's going to be exactly like Goat Simulator. And Goat Simulator was a great idea, and it
And then
was
they added zombies.
It was entirely a joke from the beginning, and they're like, this game is going to run terribly, there's bugs everywhere, and they were brutally honest about it, but it was honestly one of the biggest games ever. You know,
Bugs are features.
Bugs are features, Bethesda.
Nowadays.
Yeah.
Also
Maybe I
big
could use
news.
this trash can to get to the roof.
Also big news this week, Twilight Princess HD comes out today.
Woot.
I'm excited.
I got
I'm
another Legend of
excited.
Zelda to play through again.
It was funny, I still need to get a Wii U, so recently me and my girlfriend booted up Twilight Princess on my GameCube, because that's the one you should play, because it's not flipped like
Right.
it is on the Wii.
Yeah.
Which was the funny thing about that game, which is literally like they just took the game and mirrored it, and that was it.
Yeah.
So the Hylian is backwards on all the signs in the
I
Wii
know.
version.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is. Like all the maps are literally like you go like that, and then they're like switched over.
Is that like an art problem or a programming problem, or did
I
they
don't-
just think they were being clever?
Well, the thing was
Because
because
you're
you
being
moved
smart.
Link over to his right hand. Link has never been right-handed. Ever. But for the motion-controlled games, he is. So since you're using the Wii remote in your right hand, design choice-wise, it was a smart idea. So it makes the
They
people
just add a
playing
function
feel.
where you could do either.
They should have. They should have had lefty controls, but they honestly, just because of how the sticks are
Softball.
set up, you're so used to controlling with your thumb,
Yeah.
pressing buttons, controlling with your left thumb, pressing buttons with your right thumb.
I actually do Southpaw with the Wiimote.
Really?
Did in Smash. I did in the Legend of Zelda game. The which one was that? Not Twilight
Skyward
Princess.
Sword?
Yeah.
Oh no, not Skyward Sword.
I hate Skyward Sword.
A lot of people do.
I played it. I played through Metroid with it too. Don't play Metroid.
Other M.
Yeah, don't
Nah,
do
don't
that.
do that one.
Don't do that to yourself.
Poor Samus and Other M. They ruined her character in that game. I wanted to actually talk about a few months ago. Gerard the Completionist did a
Yeah.
video called "Defend It," where it was the internet versus Gerard on Skyward Sword, and it's set up like a court case. And at one point, Aaron Egoraptor is in it, and he's just going sarcastically, "Skyward Sword is my favorite game because managing stamina is a task and an arduous one at that, and it's really fun getting up a ladder just to fall off because you don't have enough stamina." And it's just like, and he goes on this tangent that like, in the most un-Egoraptor way possible, where usually you're used to him yelling about things like he did in the sequelitis for it, but
Did he do like a Ben Stein kind of rant? Like where he kept it monotone? Or
yeah, he did it entirely monotone and uninterested sounding. But Skyward Sword was one of those games like so hyped. You heard Ballad of the Goddess, and you're like, oh, that's totally Zelda's Lullaby backwards. There's all this connection. It's like it's the
What, you can
origin
fly?
story.
You can fly?
Yeah. And then
Then you played it, and then you got like for me, like it was great. Like I was playing it, I was like, this is awesome. Oh my god, like all this crazy stuff's happening. Like you finally get to like know like the creation of Hyrule and like what like everything that's happening. And then you're playing it, and you're like, does this ever end? Does it ever end? You just keep playing it, and you're like, nothing's really happening. And then I think I'm at like the last dungeon, and I don't want to play it anymore because I don't care anymore. They just like drag it out way too
so
much.
much backtracking in that
Yeah,
game too.
But Twilight Princess, I'm excited for.
Twilight Princess is a hit or miss game with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I personally, I liked it. I played it through. It's not and nowhere near my favorite Zelda game. Personally, my favorite Zelda games are the top-down ones, just because those are the ones I grew up playing. And I never really cared much for Ocarina of Time. I know,
I've heard you say this.
Unpopular opinion.
It hurts me every time you say it.
I just never really, I was playing through the HD one for the 3DS, and I just remembered Ocarina is that classic game that everyone is like, it's the best game ever made. But a lot of people overlooked Majora's Mask directly after it came out, and I think Majora's Mask is infinitely better than Ocarina of Time.
They cleaned up a lot of mechanics and stuff in that one.
It's a great sequel, and it's also, like, for its time, it came out in, like, 2000. It's a fantastic game. Like, you have 3 days, like, the mechanics are, like, so, like, not from that era. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's so modern. Like, I played it last year. When did it come out for the 3DS?
The 3DS, it came out last year. Around November or so last year.
Yeah, so then I replayed it, and it's a very beautiful game. The mechanics are awesome. The story is wonderful. But I agree. I feel like Majora's Mask is definitely overlooked just because everyone's like, oh,
Ocarina, yeah.
Yeah, but...
See, because I got really excited for when we got A Link Between Worlds. Because Link to the Past is definitely my favorite Zelda game of all time. I've played it through, I'd say, close to 15 times. Just because just because how much I love the game, I just play through it. Anytime I'm not playing a game, I'll go, I feel like playing,
Spend 2 hours on it and you're done.
Yeah. But it's just that game where you could just, play it. And it really, there's the story there, but it doesn't hold your hand through any of it. The combat's seamless with the movement.
Just when you think you finished the game, bam, whole nother story arc. But it's not like driving away. It's like, I can keep going because it's awesome.
So I really liked Link Between Worlds, and I really enjoyed it, and I love that we got that style of game. So those top-down Zelda games are not forgotten.
Yeah.
Which I was worried about, that people were just going to be like, well, Zelda started out as a top-down game, but then it turned into a 3D game, and that's all we get from here on out.
Are we really not going to talk about Adventures of Link?
We can talk about Adventures of Link. But... we got, what was it, Triforce Heroes not too long ago, too.
Yeah. That one's mixed reviews. Most that I've heard has not been positive.
It's okay. I have it. It's fun to play with friends, but that's it. That's all you're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
You need friends?
Yeah, you need friends to play, and...
Yeah.
So it's like Four Swords.
Four Swords was a great game. I loved Four Swords.
That's funny, because a lot of people don't like Four Swords.
I thought Four Swords was just... You could get into so much hijinks when you had your friends with you. Mm-hmm. You had the GameCube, and then everyone had their, Game Boy Advances, and they're just sitting there like, yeah.
Where'd you go? I'm in this thing. What do you mean you're in this thing? I'm in my Game Boy right now. I can't see you on the screen.
But that was just, I thought that was a fun game. It wasn't one of the best Zelda games, but it was definitely fun.
Yeah, that's like Triforce Heroes. It's just fun. It's nothing.
It's nothing. It's not that timeless story that made Zelda so popular to begin with, where you're wearing your Legend of Zelda socks today.
I am. I have to represent.
See, I'm all Star Wars'd out today. I got my Star Wars hoodie on and then my Star Wars sneaks.
I want your sneakers.
I like your sneakers.
What are those?
They're stormtroopers, sir. Empire all the way. Just saying. Unless bounty hunters, then bounty hunters more than Empire. But so now
because they're not all employed by the Empire anyway.
But so we got really exciting game releases coming up. Dark Souls 3 comes out this month.
Does it?
Does it?
This month or next month, I think.
Maybe. I'd have to double
I know
check.
it comes out relatively soon, and that's a big thing on my watch list. I love the Dark Souls games. I've played through them multiple times. And just run through and play these games, and they're a challenge, and I enjoy them. So, and I have high expectations.
What do you mean you want to play through without getting hit?
I have very high expectations for Dark Souls 3, and I've seen a lot of stuff, and they're talking about how it connects the whole story of all 3 Dark Souls games and makes one cohesive story, and that's really cool.
It's probably gonna be the best one, I think, out of the other 2, from what I've seen and what I'm hearing.
It's also running off of Bloodborne's engine, which is amazing because Bloodborne controls like the best I've played. I have been playing through Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin on my PS4. The controls are so different from the first Dark Souls. Like, the movement just feels a lot tankier and less agile. The rolls, when you're doing your dive rolls, feel like your guy just kind of like walks into them instead of like jumping and rolling once you get that. So it feels like a very different game, and in some places, some of the areas in Dark Souls 1 look a lot better than Dark Souls 2. So but I've seen screenshots of Dark Souls 3 of like the network test and everything,
right.
And oh my god, does it look amazing.
You know, over half of them are just, you are dead. You are dead. You are dead. You start the game, you are dead. That's how you start.
You get a trophy for being dead.
Yeah, you literally, like Dark Souls 2 gave you that trophy. It's like, welcome to Dark Souls, the first time you die. But
I don't like handouts like that.
I do. I appreciate them.
like
I'm comical games, yes, but like if the game's trying to be serious, like Dark Souls, like you know you're going to die. You don't have to give me a trophy for dying once. Maybe if I died like 1,000 times.
Yeah. Okay, I get what you're
like,
saying.
You're still trying. Here's a trophy. That would be more appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So main topic of today's podcast I wanted to talk about is the free-to-play and freemium models of games.
Freemium.
If anyone has not seen the South Park episode, freemium isn't free. It is amazing. They talk about there's a Terrence and Phillip. The best in Trey Parker and Matt Stone are definitely really smart when it comes to this kind of stuff. And so in this episode, there's a new Terrence and Phillip game that is literally you're just trying to rebuild Canada, and you just have to collect Canada. You just press on the screen, but there's microtransactions in it, and the whole thing is like Stan Marsh has gambling. Doesn't know it, but you know he comes from a long line of addiction in his family. So he's spending thousands of dollars on this freemium game, running up his dad's credit card bill.
Tens of thousands.
But
it's time for some Canada.
Yeah, it's that, but it's the perfect satire of the situation that gaming has now found itself in, with games like Candy Crush taking over people's lives. You know, freemium games preying on these people. This small demographic of people who are going, well, I could either play it or I could have it now kind of mentality. And that to me is a very, I don't like that mentality because I'm an old school gamer. So back in the day, we had to work for everything. You know, if you wanted a character in a fighting game, you unlocked that character. You beat story mode, you beat 50 matches against this character to unlock this character.
Using specific characters.
Yeah. So you had to, and like the best thing was back in the days before internet was easily accessible. You'd load up like cheatcc.com on AOL, and you're waiting, or even better, you'd get the little cheat books at your school's book fair. Do you remember those those things?
I still have a couple of those.
Yeah, I still have one of my old ones, but you'd always look in the back and you're like, okay, what games are they talking about? And you're like, oh, this cheat code for Smash Brothers, that's how you unlock Mewtwo. So stuff like that. And nowadays, everything's either DLC or you pay to have it. And
which takes away from gaming.
You're
takes away from
paying
the whole
for
experience.
DLC anyway.
You're paying for DLC. So what does this mean for gaming as in the 21st century now at this rate? And we're going into more than 30 years worth of gaming. 30 to 40 years worth of mainstream gaming at this point. So now what are we looking at in the future? Are all games going to follow this model?
You took 3 steps. You cannot take any more steps today unless you spend $15 to take 3 more.
Exactly. So, I mean, games like Hearthstone are very much stacked in the favor of like, hey, it's just a couple of bucks to get a few packs and go into the arena.
Buy some more Canada.
Yeah, or games. I do want to talk about games that do it well, but let's spend a little time talking about games that don't do it well. So, if anyone's familiar,
Or
Dungeons and Dragons Online.
Or Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings Online. Star Wars The Old Republic at one point was really bad with it. They got a lot better.
Yeah, to give some credit to it, though, they did start off as a pay game.
As a pay-to-play game, but there was still the freemium things in it.
Yeah.
Candy Crush, the biggest offender.
I will not play that game.
I refuse to. You have these casual games that are just like, let's reach out to the biggest demographic. What do people like? Bejeweled. All right, let's make Bejeweled, but make them pay for stuff.
Hey, you want that blue gem, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and even Nintendo's going down the route of it with games like Pokemon Shuffle, Pokemon Rumble Blast or whatever, and then...
Is that really a freemium?
I think so.
I have it on my DS, I just haven't tried to play it yet.
Shuffle's free.
And also, so is Picross, Pokemon Picross. My girlfriend's been addicted to it, but she refuses to spend any money on it, so... just on principle, though, like, you have people with the disciplines, like, the hardcore Hearthstone players don't really spend the money on it. But there are the casual Hearthstone players who are like, I just want the best deck ever, so let me throw $50 at this game to get the best deck possible. And that's
Where's the fun in that?
Exactly. Where's the fun? Where's the challenge?
And I feel like after a while, like, for me, I remember a few times I've paid, for certain things. And then I just get tired of it. And then I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I spent $10 to get, like, that extra...
extra thing.
Yeah.
I know people... Facebook is really bad with their freemium games. Every one of their games is freemium at this point. Like, even, like, Tic-Tac-Toe, you got some sort of coin purchase for it.
Tic-Tac-Toe.
Yeah, like, legit. But I've known people and heard of people who spent hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, just to get, like, little animal, like a little sheep for their farm, or...
That sheep isn't real.
Yeah.
You should tell them that. It's crazy.
I've heard stories of people who spent, like, $12,000 on Farmville because they wanted to get, like, this, like, little rainbow sheep.
Spend $12,000 on a real farm.
Like, yeah. Why?
So sad.
But
you can't really blame the people, though, because it's like, because it's becoming like I don't want to say culture, but it's becoming like very like common.
If you're spending like hundreds of dollars on something, on something for something like a little sheep or a little like a cape or a hat, I can blame you for that because it's being stupid. When you get into the $1,000 range for something, I'm like, you have to pull out small business loans to buy a little animal for your farm. No.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I
as a
agree.
game designer,
if it's like $100, that's ridiculous. But if it's like a few bucks, then it becomes something more after a few bucks. It becomes 50, then etc.
like a few bucks here, $2 there, $1 there,
It all
50
adds
cents,
up.
and then they're like, "Oh, we'll start throwing you coupons to keep you going."
Yeah.
Like, hey, 75% off of this, 50% off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be like, that's not a lot of money. That's not a lot of money. And then before you know it, you've spent a couple $100 on it. And
yeah. So let's talk about some games that actually do it a little right. We said Warframe. You were playing that. Warframe
discuss Warframe with this.
Definitely a game that does it better than others. You can go the entire game without spending a single dollar of your own money.
Yeah.
The game has the in-game currency that's equated to real world money called platinum. Platinum is
which you can trade for in game.
75 to $1, 75 platinum to $1, I think is the conversion rate.
I think so, yeah.
So
unless you're counting coupons, then
it gets heavily discounted. But that's the thing I want to bring up with that game is that there are always going to be the people who want to spend their money on it, and that's fine. It's better that you can...
I'm guilty for that.
You can go into the marketplace with parts from a mission you ran and go like, hey, I don't need these parts. Does anyone want to buy them? There's always going to be one person who has the money and is going to go, sure, I'll buy them off of you. And
I've actually recently really got into the market with that. Within the last few weeks, I've made at least 1,200 platinum selling junk parts.
Exactly.
And I haven't spent a penny.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that system in it. But there's also the idea that you don't have to spend any money whatsoever, and any of the real world money is entirely cosmetic. You can find all the parts for all the weapons in the game, all the blueprints. You can do all the frames, everything like that. Nothing is locked out of you except for cosmetics and things you don't need to play the game. So that's a really neat idea. Like, you know, every weapon can be built. It just takes time, or you can either spend the money to rush it, or you can wait 3 days to build your new Warframe that you worked really hard to get. So this way, it gives you time to appreciate, you know, what. See,
that satisfaction.
I interpret it as like you're waiting. It's like Christmas Day kind of thing. You're waiting all this time. It's Christmas Day. You get to open all your presents, and then bam, here it is. Oh, your new Warframe's ready. I'm gonna go play as it. It builds excitement. So you can spend the $5 or whatever to rush your Warframe to get done, or you can just wait.
Have you guys actually spent money for Warframe or no?
I have.
I spent a little bit.
Only when I get like a 75% off coupon.
Okay.
And then it's like $5-10. I've probably over the entirety of Warframe spent enough to buy a AAA title game.
Yeah. I've spent no more than $20 or $30 in Warframe just because I had the coupon and I had the extra the disposable income to do it. Otherwise, I don't usually fall into that trap with a game.
I think there would be a specific frame that I would probably spend money on when it becomes a prime frame, only for the special access, because there are a couple cosmetic items that you will not be able to get without spending money on, and that's very rare. Like when a new frame comes out, they have special cosmetics, and once that part is done, you cannot get them again.
Exactly.
But most of the everything else except for like those 1-2 cosmetics you can get whenever, and the only other benefit is you get a booster, which you could just get in the game anyway.
Yeah, you get a login reward anyway for getting in the game every day. So, and your rewards get better the more you play. So the game actually rewards you for playing, which these free-to-play games need to do. The problem is games like Candy Crush punish you for playing. They go, well, you know, you played, but you lost your 3 lives. Now you're stuck.
I hate that. I hate when I'm out of lives for whatever game I'm playing, and I'm
Talk
like,
to your friends.
what do I do?
See if you can get some lives.
Yeah, and
from
I
your
don't
friends.
want to talk to them because
Or-
I hate being talked to.
Or spend money.
Yeah.
Spend the money. Another mobile game, which since we keep bringing up Candy Crush, is Tapped Out. That's another game
haven't
that
heard
did
of
it
that
well.
I haven't heard of
It's
that
a
either.
Simpsons game.
Huh.
When it first came out, I picked it up immediately. Family Guy followed shortly after with their Quest for Many Things, which is basically the same thing, but you know, are you going to go Simpsons? Are you going to go Family Guy, or just play both? But Simpsons is a heavy freemium game where you can make microtransactions for their premium money, which is donuts, of course. But you can unlock most anything in the game without spending money. They have a daily login. As long as you don't miss your daily login time,
Right.
it just keeps building up. And then, like after a week, you get a free bonus box, which could have donuts in it. It could have one of the premium items itself in it. It's a completely random. It's got a chance to unlock any item in the game. Usually fences or bushes, but you know.
Yeah.
Right.
It's, you know, some games do it right, some games don't. And it's definitely something you need to keep your eye out moving forward into gaming now.
And then holiday themed stuff too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing.
Holiday buildings, holiday characters, costumes. I managed to play through Tapped Out to completion. Like I have everything unlocked, all the premium characters, all the premium buildings, decorations, and quests are all done. And I ended up having to stop playing it because by the time new content came out, I had already finished stuff up to that point where it just gave it to me, and then it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
But I did not spend a penny on it, and I got everything. So that's a chance of that's a example of it can be good. I could pay the money to get the donuts now, or I can be patient and play with friends, or go on Facebook and join a group so I can get as many people who play it as well.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think we'll call it here. This has been another episode of the Team Joystick Heroes podcast. Again with Chris
Rebecca.
And Adam.
All right, guys, and we'll catch you guys next week, possibly.
I hope to be
Possibly,
here again.
maybe.
Possibly.
All right. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.